Bench testing a 1959 Cadillac headlight switch, serial number LABCQ 309272022, offered by TT Parts Rebuilding. Run-up test. Test number 1, tail and parking light test. Test number 2, tail and headlight test. Test number 3, dash lights low to high. Test number 4, dome light test. Test number 5, circuit breaker test. And test number 6, switch terminals insulated from ground. This run-up test, we're going to be using a fully charged battery with a booster charger. We have 12.72 volts. And now we're showing with the booster 13.06. We're also going to be monitoring the temperature of the rheostat in Fahrenheit. Test number 1, tail and parking light test. First position, we have the tail lights from parking and dash lights. The dash lights will be set to mid-range. And we're showing a temperature at the rheostat about 94 degrees. Back to first position and off. Test number 2, tail and headlight test. First position, tail lights from parking. Second position, front parking lights are off, front headlights are on, dash lights set to mid-range. Back to first position, front parking, headlights are off, tail lights are on, off. Test number 3, dash lights low to high. First position, rotating the rheostat, we're going to increase the brightness of the bulbs to full on, mid-range, and back to low, and off. Second position, increase the brightness to mid-range of the bulbs, 90%, and full on. Back to first position, mid-range on the dash lights, and off. Test number 4, dome light test. Rotating the rheostat, grounding the tab, we have an indication of dome light. It's also available in first position, dome light, and second position, control of the dome light, and off. Test number 5, circuit breaker test. Using a standard probe, we're going to switch the first position, parking, dash full on, tail lights. The Delco run the headlight switches hit an onboard circuit breaker controlled by this bimetallic spring. It makes continuity from the battery to the switch body. In the event that there's a short in the wiring in the vehicle, this tab would overheat, expand, and break the circuit, saving the vehicle wiring. Second position, we also see that this feature is also available. Test number 6, switch terminals insulated from ground. Using a standard 12-volt test light, I'm going to probe the chassis ground of the switch. We see we have continuity at the switch body, back to the battery. Checking the terminals, no continuity. No continuity. Only continuity at the chassis body. It shows that the switch body is insulated from ground. Bench testing a 1959 Cadillac headlight switch, serial number LABCQ 309282022, offered by TT Parts Rebuilding. Run-up test. Test number 1, tail and parking light test. Test number 2, tail and headlight test. Test number 3, dash lights low to high. Test number 4, dome light test. Test number 5, circuit breaker test. Test number 6, switch terminals insulated from ground. I have a fully charged battery at 2.67 volts. We'll be performing the run-up tests with the battery booster. Also, we will be monitoring the temperature of the rheostat. So I have a run-up test voltage of about 1306-07 volts. Rheostat temperature running about 87 degrees Fahrenheit. Test number 1, tail and parking light test. First position, indication from parking, tail lights, dash lights set to mid-range and off. Test number 2, tail and headlight test. First position, from parking, tail lights. Second position, from parking, lights are off, headlights are on, tail lights remain on. Back to first position, from parking lights, tail lights, and off. Test number 3, dash lights low to high. First position, have the dash lights set at mid-range. We'll rotate the rheostat to the off position. Increase the brightness of the dash light bulbs. We'll rotate the rheostat to mid-range, 90%. We have a rheostat temperature of about 88 degrees to full bright. Back to mid-range to off. Second position, headlights on, rotate the rheostat, mid-range, 90%, full on. Back to first position, picked up a little bit of temperature on the rheostat, about 89, 90 degrees. And off. Test number 4, dome light test. First position, rotating rheostat to mid-range, back to high, grounding the rheostat tab, indication of dome lights. Second position, dome lights off, rheostat mid-range, back to full bright, grounding the tab, we have dome lights. Back to first position, dome lights off, switch off. We have the ability to turn the dome lights on by grounding the tab. Not necessary to have any of the lights on in the vehicle. Turn on the courtesy dome light and off. Test number 5, circuit breaker test. First position, Telco will run the headlight switches, hit an onboard circuit breaker. The battery bar would go through a bimetallic spring with a set of contacts. If there was a short in the vehicle, this bimetallic strip would overheat and break the circuit, protecting the wiring in the vehicle. Release the bimetallic spring, circuit is closed. Headlight position, we also have that feature is also available. Break the circuit. Complete the circuit. Back to first position. Break the circuit. Complete the circuit. And off. Test number 6, switch terminals insulated from ground. Using a standard 12-volt test light, we see we have continuity back to the battery through the body chassis of the switch. Probing the terminals, no continuity back to the battery. The battery terminal, headlight terminal, tail light terminal, and parking light terminal. Circuit breaker, we only have continuity back to the battery at the chassis. So this indicates there's no short of these terminals back to the chassis ground.